I watched part of the city council, then I caught up with it on Facebook this morning from Community 7. What I'm all giddy about is this airport expansion costing close to $50 million, and I'm going to have Kevin Plom on next week, but this is going to be quite the deal when it's all completed.
It really is. It's a great way to bring our airport into this century. We're pretty dated up there compared to what modern airports look like, and it's just going to be much more functional as well as more attractive.
So,
larger area for security, for food service, and more gates so that we can handle more planes.
You know, last night, one thing that you talked to Kevin about is basically the need for more restaurants up there, and right now it looks like there's only going to be one. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I kind of noted that and asked Kevin about it because there is room, I think, and his point was that, well, you got to make sure that your concessionaire, whoever gets the contract, can make money. And that means that they have something of a monopoly on the food business, I guess. And, you know, he presumably knows more about this than I do, but I just know when I travel, which is frequently, I've got choices, right? So I think it's important to give people as many choices as we can up there that still fits with the economic realities. There's a bar area, and maybe that could also serve some food. That would be a second location, as well as a very nice, larger cafe, which is definitely planned. But also, you know, cold sandwiches out of the gift shop would be a possibility as well. This
talk about this new airport, $50 million, is any of it going to be going towards like parking? Because, you know, once this airport, the expansion gets going and everything, it means like, you know, hopefully more and more people are going to be using the airport. So is there a long-term plan on more parking up at the airport?
Long-term, yes. As part of this phase of development, no. This plan doesn't include the construction of a high-rise parking facility, for example, which is something that's going to happen. If the airport does get a lot more busy, we're probably going to have to go up on the existing parking area. What we're fortunate to have is the land where we could build a high-rise structure and increase the parking. For the time being, though, there's quite a bit of parking up there, and that can also move to the west in that overflow lot. Although I just got back from a trip to the East Coast on Sunday, and they're repaving up there, so it's kind of a headache. They've got to move cars around. Leave a little extra time if you're planning on parking up at the airport right now.
Last night, another subject was brought up, school resource officers and the cost that the city's paying versus the cost of what the school district is paying. Let's talk a little bit about that this morning.
Yeah, that program's been going on now for, I think it's about 24 years or something like that. And it's been very successful. And most of your listeners would know SROs, or school resource officers, are sworn regular Billings police officers who spend most of the day in the high schools and also the middle schools, and in one case rotates around elementary schools. And Central High also has a SRO. And those police officers can get involved in the lives of the students, make sure that criminal activity in the schools is kept to a minimum, and also just create a good personal relationship between students and police officers. So students know that police officers are not something to be feared, but they're a friend and true resource. So it's been very successful, but the costs are real, of course, and the school district picks up most of that cost. Not 100%, but most of it. And if the police officers are needed during the day, they leave the school to help out other police officers around the city.
Well, the city police department also has an agreement with Billings Clinic, something like that, correct?
Yeah, that's right. The clinic has a very large campus, and they have real security needs as people come and go. And so they help to defray the costs of several police officers on their campus at different times of the day. And again, that's been successful. They also pay for a police car and pick up the cost of the police officer. But if in an emergency the police officer can leave, and help out other police officers. So it becomes sort of a force multiplier for the Billings Police Department, which is very helpful for all of us.
And let's talk about some other subjects that were brought up last night at the City Council meeting, sir.
Yeah, we made some somewhat technical changes to the written document that is the official plan for the South Billings Urban Renewal Area TIF District, Tax Increment Finance District, to specifically list some possible future projects that have been in the works, like the Southside Evidence Facility for the Police Department, possible construction of a recreation center, an indoor recreation center that might include aquatics, ice, basketball courts, volleyball courts, exercise machines, exercise facilities. Those were not specifically identified in that document, which was last amended, I think, about in 2008. And so by adding that to the document, listing those possibilities, then we could potentially go out to the bond market and borrow to finance some of those if we needed to. It was just a recommendation by our lawyer, our bond counsel, that we do that to specifically identify those. Doesn't mean we approve those projects, but we added them to the list of possible options.
Well, we're a month away, less than a month away, from the commissioning of the USS Billings, August 3rd, down in Key West, Florida. What still has to be done before August 3rd for the city of Billings?
You know, we're kind of scrambling in this the last few weeks, putting together the written programs, putting together our gift bags for the crew members, which aren't, paper bags, but are lovely little duffel bags built by Red Ox Manufacturing Company right here in Billings, putting together the wood planks, which are like plaques that each crew member will receive, that are being built one at a time and donated by Dovetail Designs, a great furniture and woodworking firm here in Billings. And also making some last-minute pitches for additional funds. We'll have an auction coming up on August 13th at the American Legion Post 4 o'clock to raise funds for it. Encourage anybody who would like to come to show up at 4 o'clock at the American Legion on Broadwater, 1500 block of Broadwater, and that should be a great event. So we're coming down to the end and hoping for nice, cool weather in Key West, which I doubt ever happens on August 3rd. If somebody wants to still come, the tickets are free, so we'll make sure you can get there. We'll make sure you get tickets if you want to come.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, there was a little collision, a little mishap up in Canada with the USS Billings and a couple of other ships. The captain was relieved of his duties. They have a new captain. And there was some concern for a little bit that this would, push back or the commissioning of the USS Billings. That's not going to happen. It's going to be on August 3rd, correct?
That is correct. The Navy never really entertained the possibility of delaying the commissioning. It was just cosmetic paint damage. They slid up against a barge in the St. Lawrence River with the currents, and feel bad for Captain Michael Johnson, who this is sort of the pinnacle of his career. And I've met him several times, just a great guy, and I'm sure a very competent captain. But the Navy has had some other experiences with much more serious collisions, and I think they have sort of a zero tolerance for any mistakes, even the smallest ones, even a little fender bender. And so that's the reality. Our new captain, though, is actually an old captain. Commander Rowan was originally assigned to the USS Billings, came here to Billings with his crew members, and we showed him around, so he knows Billings, and he's been reassigned back to the USS Billings from the USS Wichita, another LCS littoral combat ship. So he's very familiar with the ship, he's very familiar with the crew, and he's very familiar with Billings, which is a great fit.